the sense organs are flowers. That's why it's called the 5 flowers. And this implies that they open and close. And it says, this teaching says, that all 5 flowers are rooted in the heart. Well, all right. Now, that's an interesting thing to consider. Now, if we go to the first system, step back to the first system again, we see liver governs eyes, kidneys governs ears, heart governs tongue. Well, what does that mean? Heart governs tongue means that if the spirit is clear, then our speech is clear. But if our spirit, which abides in the heart, in the Shen, is disturbed, then our speech is crazy. We laugh. As it was described to me in acupuncture school, they said, we laugh at all the wrong times. So that means the heart is disturbed and that's affecting our speech. That's the link between heart and tongue. But that's in the first system. Now, this system says that all the sense organs are rooted in the heart. And this is actually correct medically. And the way that it goes on to describe this is that the heart pumps the blood to the organs. Great. That has some pretty profound implications. So, every sense organ is described as a flower, and what that means is that it opens and closes. Now, let's look at this in terms of our 24-hour biorhythm. And this is where this is linked to the arising and dissolving, the receding, coming and going of prana. Now, I'm going to go on another little tangent here for a moment to explain the 24-hour biorhythm in terms of Tantra. And one of the teachings of Tantra is that in the morning, the prana rises to the eyes and they open. And the prana rises to the ears and we hear. And the prana rises to the sense organs and we experience the outer world. But then when we fall asleep, the prana comes back in and it moves through the throat chakra as we are falling asleep into the state of dreams. And then it comes into the heart in the state of dreamless sleep. And so these 3 centers then of the forehead, 6th chakra, frontal lobe, throat, and heart basically represent this biorhythm of prana moving up and down, in and out. And this is how the flowers of the sense organs open and close. That's at the level of consciousness on a biorhythmic basis. And so therefore what we see is that the heart is pumping blood to the sense organs. That's 24 hours a day. And on a 24-hour basis, consciousness is coming to the sense organs and then withdrawing from the sense organs, coming to the sense organs, withdrawing. Now, this explains how the flowers open and close that don't actually open and close physically. You see, so at night, the eyes close just like a flower. In the morning, the sun comes, the eyes open just like a flower. But the ears don't open and close. Instead, it is the ear consciousness that opens and closes. Okay. And that's because consciousness is no longer in the sense organs, because consciousness is now either dreaming or in the heart. Okay. Now, this is really important if we look at it in the ultimate macrocosmic level of incarnation, life, and disincarnation. Because this process on a biorhythmic basis is actually the same thing that happens with incarnation and disincarnation. It just happens on a 24-hour basis. So every 24 hours, we're going through a death and rebirth process, but we're still doing it inside this body. Now, the way that this is described is that Consciousness became infused in matter at the time of conception, and then the first heartbeat. But as the heart was developing, consciousness was becoming encased in the heart. And the deepest levels of consciousness is said to reside in the heart. And that is what we did with the 7 levels of heart prana. We went in to meet that deepest level of consciousness. And in this deepest level of consciousness, which is said to be in the center of the heart, this is what we experience and remember, where we get rejuvenation every night in deep dreamless sleep. So every night we return to the center of the heart, to that deep level of prana that is connected to the mind of the universe. And in that state, the 5 flowers of the senses are closed, they are resting. But then in the morning, we come back out again, the 5 flowers open, prana rises. And this happens over and over again until finally the last heartbeat, the last breath, and then the 5 flowers close one last time. Now, according to this model, consciousness returns to the heart. And in the center of the heart, after the last heartbeat, then that container, those mystic containers that held consciousness in the physical heart, open. And that tiny seed of our individualized consciousness that has been incarnated in the center of the heart returns to its universal nature. In other words, it is no longer identified with the body. It bursts out of the heart. It enters into universal, unified, undifferentiated, primordial awareness again. So that is the application of this teaching, again, with those lineages of explaining cyclical existence. And therefore, we can follow this on a regular basis. Now, the way that we do this is we listen to the heartbeat, and we are aware that the heart is bringing the blood to the sense organs. And we can start to watch how the sense organs open and close on a biorhythmic basis. And we can become familiar with that as basically the process of life and death. But it gives us a very interesting perspective. And each of the practices that we do gives us a perspective about something. So if we are contemplating the 5 elements, it gives us a feeling that we are connected to the 5 elements. And if we listen to the heart pumping blood to the sense organs, it will give us a feeling of how the sense organs are working. And that feeling is that we will start to notice that the outer world is coming into existence in our consciousness, one heartbeat at a time. And when the heart stops, the outer world is going to disappear from our consciousness. And so just as the heart is pumping the 4 elements of nature through the container of space and keeping us alive in this biosphere, the heart is also giving rise to what I see. The heart is giving rise to what I hear and taste and smell and feel, one heartbeat at a time. And all we have to do to remember that is to contemplate that, okay, at some point the heart will stop, and what happens? Well, the same thing that happens when we fall asleep. The flowers close.